Hey, you are now tuned in to the world of wrestling with DAR Media. One of these days, anybody out there within the sound of my voice, you are the resistance. I'm going to find one of you. There got to be someone out there, 6 billion people who can come on here and talk about some fucking MMA with me. And then we'll change it to the world of combat. But right now, it's the world of wrestling. DAR Sports Media. We're getting one of these together for you guys. Changed it from the weekly because obvious. A lot of stuff going on. We a little bit different tone in some things just because we're kind of the numbers conversation. I just feel like at this point that's on to
being
that belongs to other people. Because if you anybody who's listening to this, if you don't see that there's a fucking issue over there on that side, with where the numbers are at right now, then you ain't there is no you're lost. Like, so I don't know why we need to go on and on. Like the thing is done. This is the number 2, the competitor. That shit's over for the time being. Like we always say too, something could catch fire, something could ramp back up. We've seen it 100 million times in wrestling. Things go through recessions and then rebuild. So, you could always right the ship.
They are WWF 1995 right now.
But what I will say, as I have said before, that media deal doesn't make you impervious. Doesn't make you. If you think this company is going to pay them double the money for half the numbers, I don't know how you can logically think that that's going to keep going and that there isn't out clauses and there isn't ways to get out of that deal, and that isn't the reason it took so long for the deal to get done. I don't know what to tell you. I guess we'll start there. We've said on here a lot of times, and I will say I am excited for the Continental Classic. I'm excited for the board. I'm excited for the table. I love that fucking shit. I enjoy the hell out of that. I enjoy the hell out of like giving, I said it last year and I'll say it again now. If you could just pay enough attention to maintain that ranking system, you could like do this all the time. You could have the wrestling and the match result to be the purpose and the reason that people watch. You could do that always. I'm just saying, but so I'm excited for that. I'll be definitely locked in to watch that. And we're fucking pumped. It was, as so often the case, about 2 years too late, but fucking pumped for our guys' Private Party. Pumped that they're building an entire pay-per-view match, a big match around Private Party's tag title win. Super excited about that. Excited about the title reign of Mariah May. I am also, I guess we'll pull up the Full Gear card and we can talk about some stuff that stands out because that's going down next Saturday. I am pumped for this Chris Statlander Mercedes Moné match. I think that's gonna fucking rock. In all the ways that Mercedes versus Willow rocked. I think that's gonna be fucking fantastic. Love it. I really liked that segment the other night where they all flew through the wall. I thought that was good shit. Good chaotic energy. On the other hand, that show is icy and crusty, and it's just so many of the same faces, and with less and less return.
You know what's coming next, right? You do know what's coming next, right? I just want to, this Moxley thing, where it's going. You know where it's going. The Young Bucks lost the Private Party.
He's somehow gonna win the belt again. I don't know. Like, 2,000 people. Yeah. There were points in the fucking show where it felt like the show was taking place on the moon. It was so fucking quiet. Britt Baker still out there putting on shitty ass matches, which is a big disappointment for me because I fucking love Penelope Ford. I think if you put Penelope Ford with the right people in the right circumstances, she could be a fucking huge star. One of my favorites. Fantastic charisma, fantastic fucking everything. Fantastic look, fantastic. Just I love me some Penelope Ford, and I was disappointed that went the way it went the other night. I just don't. You moved, so these company takeover fucking storylines has really only worked like once, and it has spectacularly fucking failed and been a disaster many other times than that. I think probably the most memorable, Aces and Eights.
Classic terribleness. Oh my god!
And then this shit that they just did with the Elite that just sort of went away.
They transferred it. They transferred the Elite to fucking Death Riders or Blackpool Combat Club.
And then it transferred before that from the Devil Kingdom, whatever the fuck that fucking Adam Cole was supposed to be doing, and then so it's like the third one in a row.
They're determined to get this takeover storyline. Like they're determined to get this off the ground, and that's why I fully believe it's a Tony idea.
This is the third one in a row, and what's tough about it is it didn't really, like a lot of people. I think definitely you. I'm getting there, where it's like another major Mox title run just not doing anything for me.
It's just not worth it. It's just. Yeah.
And then the only like saving grace of things like this is supposed to be that, like, okay, but it's a fresh take on the character, but like it's not. Mox is basically the same as he's always fucking been.
Right.
So it's just another Mox title run, but now we have to also deal with sitting through the TV of another takeover fucking storyline, which that's kind of supposed to be it's almost never good TV on a consistent basis over a long amount of time, but then you get the payoffs. But this is like the third time in a row we're doing this with no fucking payoff.
Who did he? I'm trying to think. Last time Mox was champion, he dropped the belt to MJF. If I'm not mistaken, right? That was kind of what the story was built around, like MJF and his crowning after he did the whole I'm the devil thing, and he came back at All Out, and then Punk left. So I'm pretty sure this was rooted in, this is just rooted in, like, when they think things are going badly, we'll put it in Mox's hands. And when we put it in Mox's hands, then, he can carry us. He's our ace. I think the problem is that you don't need your ace, quote unquote, to come in and kind of roll with an iron fist anymore. And I think that's kind of been the issue for me. I didn't necessarily care too much about the Moxley thing, even back when Punk was there and it was Punk versus Mox. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, wait, Mox is going, come back and he's dropping the title to Punk, and then he'll go do other things. And, we saw like Mox had, solid feud with Hangman. And after that, it was kind of like, to me, just kind of up and down, kind of topsy-turvy and everything like that. So I wasn't fully invested in Moxley in a long time. So when he came back and he did this, and they put in a plastic bag on Danielson's face, and they're beating up people backstage, it's like a very cheap NWO mixed with, like, I don't even know what else, imitation, but the whole beating people up backstage and all that stuff like that. And then the Young Bucks kind of being there and like not stopping anybody from, doing anything, and then them leaving because it's too much, and they'll probably return as faces and have to deal with that shit. Like, there's just every implication of where this story is going does not interest me. I think Darby winning the belt for Moxley is cool if that happens, if that's the plan. I'm not looking forward to Orange Cassidy versus Moxley, because literally last year, All Out, we had them feud. They have multiple matches, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not looking forward to that. I think Mox is cool, man. And if he was doing this, maybe without the title involved, and maybe with some fresher faces, and not somebody he just feuded with like a year ago, I would be more invested in this. And I think that's what confuses me. They have so much talent on that roster, and they're not using it properly. And I know Daniel Garcia is probably going to beat Jack Perry for the TNT title, and it's going to be like, hey guys,
goodness.
Yeah. And I think the issue is, and this is funny, it's like AEW's finally saying, "Hey guys, we're starting to do the right thing." Maybe they could start doing the right thing in other ways, and maybe they could also start putting a focus on. And I think somebody said this. I can't remember who said this, but it was a story that came out about people back. I don't think it's Moxley who said it, where he was talking about how the mentality backstage, and it could be a kayfabe thing or not. But he was talking about, how the new mantra of AEW and what it is, and how, someone had said backstage that, oh, this person is going to do this, and it's the bottom of the card, so who cares? And it's like, if that was a true statement and that was something that really happened, that gives you a window into how they think, into what they're thinking. And with that, I mean, if you just don't care about something because it's quote unquote bottom of the card, then why should people really care about your programming? Because you don't have any concern or any care for your own, for your own product and people on your product. So it just shows that there's a lack of there's no fluidity in the programming. There's a lack of consistency. Like you mentioned, great that Private Party's tag team champions. I don't really care as much anymore. I mean, I really don't care like that, but it's cool. So good for Private Party. Mariah May is, I think the world of Mariah May. Will always think the world of Mariah May. I mean, I'm pretty sure Tony Storm is on her way back, which it kind of feels like that's where this Mariah May's thing is leading to. We're gonna get another Tony Storm Mariah May match. I don't know if Tony gets the belt back or what, but this Mina thing with Mariah May kind of feels like it's leading to there, considering Tony and Mina teamed up out there in Stardom. So I don't know, I don't know what that's going, where that's gonna go or how I feel about that, but I do like, um, you know, I guess we hadn't had a show since he's arrived, and Bobby Lashley is a part of AEW now, and I think that's a positive for them. Not that it moves me very much, and it'd be interesting to see. Kenny Omega's coming back to New Japan. He's not coming back to AEW right now. Their television. So there's a couple like issues that I have all around. I mean, I'd like to see a Bobby Lashley versus Darby Allin and a Bobby Lashley versus Kenny Omega. Those type of matches. I don't know if we'll get them or when we'll get them. I assume we'll get them somewhere down the line, but I don't even think that's enough for me to be like, okay, great, AEW's back or we're so back type shit. I don't see that, and I don't see that being a thing. And it's just, even with Daniel Garcia, finally winning, like an important belt, that belt really don't mean too much because Jack Perry ain't really done shit with it. Same way the Bucks didn't really do shit with the tag team titles. So it's like you just stank everything up, and then okay, here you go. When nothing's hot, like the program's not hot, like nothing is that important. Like the Bucks had to get their win over Private Party in the first place before they finally put them over. You know what I'm saying? Like that, even shit like that is just like y'all could have did that, here at the show, at the pay-per-view they had. You could have dropped the belts there where it was, kind of like a bigger deal. Even though you dropped the belts on television, it's just like the whole programming, the TV show is not exciting. It's not great. So I don't know, like you don't have to call Private Party bums and basically say they're not this and not that and then defeat them. And then they go, we're so desperate, we'll put our team on the line and say if we lose, we're gonna split up. Okay, now they finally beat us. Like I get tired of those tropes in wrestling, and I just think I don't know who's booking some. Well, I know who's booking some of those things, and some of those ideas aren't great. I think the Swerve versus Lashley thing, I don't really care about it, but I know a lot of people are liking it, and I think it's a bright spot for the program. I don't know where that's going. I don't know if Swerve's going to get some help, or if maybe the Hurt Syndicate, as they're called now, are going to get some more help and kind of run amok. But even then, there's kind of an element of what we just talked about with Moxley. It's kind of an element of that there too, where like the Hurt Syndicate's there to kind of take over AEW or stake their claim or put their stamp on AEW. And so that's where I'm kind of like, all right, man, we keep having these same stories, these same tropes. And it's just like, I don't know. Not that WWE is doing much better right now either, personally, but it's just wrestling's in a weird place.
I just don't. I don't really understand that Lashley Swerve. I just don't feel like either guy should lose that match right now. I don't feel like you should put a loss on Swerve right now. I obviously don't think that Bobby Lashley should debut with a fucking loss.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, to be really blunt here, it just feels like someone in the back was like, "Hey, man, it'd be great to put these two great black talents together and put them in a feud and blah blah blah." And it's just like, hey, you know, I get the idea, but I would have loved Lashley, and I think it'll probably come to this at some point. There's gonna be a time where Lashley, Moxley, and all those guys, they're gonna all clash too, but it's like, where are the baby faces right now in AEW that are like making the audience go crazy? There's really none, and I think therein lies your problem. There lies your problem. You have a baby face or baby faces that don't really galvanize the audience, don't really get the audience going, and that's the problem. You need white hot baby faces to push your company further. The WWE has a Cody Rhodes, a CM Punk, a Roman Reigns, a Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and that's just at the very top of the card. So when you have that many people at the top of your card that are super popular, sell merchandise, and people love, and then that's not even including like your Randy Ortons and other guys. So your LA Knights. I mean, when an LA Knight can go out there and cut a promo on the LWO and get the people going, there's nobody on the roster in AEW that can do that. John Moxley came out there and said he was seizing the superstation of TBS, and this motherfucker is cutting his basic ass promo to the sound of pins dropping.
They got chased out. To the sound of pins dropping. For the Hurt Syndicate, for this stage of their debut, I would have found a third guy. So, because really they should get a younger guy in AEW to put over to give them the rub of being with that group. Or certain powerhouses that probably could have fit that bill.
Oh man, that would have,
or something, and it don't necessarily mean to be, I say somebody that would fit with the Hurt Syndicate, and then people will fucking run with that. Don't necessarily even got to be a black person. I think it could be anybody, but whatever.
I think for the sake of
there's people who would disagree and say yes, it does need to be. But I'm just saying they should have got a younger up and coming guy to put with them as a trio. So then you add another dimension to the trios division, and then I would have had them debut in the pay-per-view against the trio Roosh, Beast Muertos, and Dralistico. That match would have been fucking nuts, right? Like that would have been a big, right? That would have been like a big statement to debut with. I don't understand not having Shelton in there. I don't understand Lashley versus Swerve and who takes the loss in that match.
Like, I think it's evidence.
I don't understand.
I think it's evidence Swerve's going to take a loss, and I guess for me,
I think so too, because it don't really make sense to debut Lashley with a fucking loss. I just don't think. Yeah. I don't think Swerve should be losing right now either.
But also, my thing about this Hurt Syndicate thing is, I think it's misguided, and I say this with all love and respect to MVP and those guys. I get that Triple H, they have their issues with Triple H, and Triple H maybe didn't do right by them, as it is in this wrestling business. Sometimes you have, people who don't do right by you. I know all about that, and I think they don't like Triple H. It's totally fine. I just don't like MVP's whole like new management sucked, as if the old management was any better. Maybe the old guard was listening to some of your ideas, but trust me, if you're looking for great management, I don't know if you came to the right place, MVP. And that's just a personal thing. But from a business side of it, I also feel like you leaving one company to do the exact same thing in another company. To me, I'm kind of like, well, we already saw what it could have been in WWE. We saw what it could have been there, and now you're a couple years older, a couple more injuries, and you're doing the exact same thing. And it's literally just you three, and all three of these guys are by wrestling years old. They're old, so it's like
I should have put somebody young with them, and maybe that's what happens. Maybe that's how Swerve loses the match. Is somebody turns up, and it's like, holy shit, this is a new addition to the Hurt Syndicate. There's a powerhouse who would fit that bill real well. There's also a judge in AEW who would fit that bill really well. So
and the judge
you gotta hope
actually, didn't the judge and Swerve have like a thing briefly?
what?
Like at one,
Yeah, for like one
wasn't that a
segment.
thing? Like there.
Yeah,
So maybe that's where that's headed.
and you
And
can make
that'd
that
be great.
connection. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Another
But
thing about this that I don't get is, Swerve dropped the belt, didn't really even go towards a rematch.
nope.
And now they're doing this takeover thing, but like this is Swerve's house, and he hasn't really interacted with that group or that whole thing yet. It's another thing that could be I just don't get
Well,
the allocation of resources with this whole situation, with the whole show, with the whole Swerve's not even paying attention to this thing. I don't know why he's going to go out and lose to Lashley. I just don't.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I really don't know where their thought process is on how they want to do things. So I'm not sure. I don't know if there's like a specific reason why they're keeping certain people separate, why they're not doing this, why they're not doing that. But I just found it hilarious that when they're looking for baby faces to like lead the charge against who I guess Moxley and Pac and all those guys, they're looking for people to lead the charge, and their baby faces are all people that have been like basically screwed over by booking and have not done well. And while we're at it, free Ricky Starks. Also
Jesus Christ.
someone who could have
never
been
forget
very useful been
in this
very
situation.
useful.
Yes.
So I don't know what the thought process is, and I haven't understood the thought process in a long time over there. So that's all I can say about AEW is that they have so much talent, and they're about to add Speedball. Speedball Mike Bailey. They're about to add him to the fold, and I mean they're going to lose out on a couple people from TNA, obviously, but they're about to basically, bring Speedball in, who I'm sure will be a great addition to the Continental Classic. The Continental Classic should be exciting because AEW does do something well, and that is actual wrestling. The in-ring side of it, they do that stuff very well. So I think the Continental Classic will be great and kind of revitalize that aspect of it because, I mean, also, at some point, maybe in 2026 or 2027, we got to get fucking Chris Jericho off of television. You just have to do it. And it's just like, can we get this man off of television? And there's rumors like his contract's coming up at the end of 2025 or mid 2025. And I swore the news was that he signed an extension, a 5-year extension or something like a year ago. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but I just know whatever power he has over Tony Khan, and he's always on fucking television and stinking up the joint. It's so bad watching this happen. Like even when Ric Flair was like 70, 65, 70 years old on his retirement tour, his first retirement tour, obviously, or second retirement tour, whatever it was, even he could go out there and put on decent matches, and he didn't look terrible when he was out there going against MVP and HBK and guys like that. Jericho's not even anywhere close to that age, and he's just stinking up the joint. And it's just, that's the biggest thorn in my side when it comes to AEW is like Jericho needs to go, man. Like you got all these talents who could be on television, and you're not, doing it. And also, I just want to say this Kyle Fletcher thing. I know a lot of people were excited for him to get his opportunity. I'm not really big on Kyle Fletcher as a singles competitor. The whole Ricochet thing and all these different guys and Osprey and Ricochet being on the same side. They're like, two, I guess, baby faces. But even then, why aren't they involved? That would be a thing I think that would make this Moxley thing a little more exciting is that the baby faces had like a Will Ospreay to lead the charge or Swerve Strickland. And because those are the two faces that you're trying to push as your future of the company is Swerve and Ospreay. Those are your two guys. And neither one of those guys are anywhere near the main event right now. I mean,
speaking of the Ospreay stuff, I one last item on AEW. I think Kyle Fletcher's really taken the ball and run with it. I didn't know if he was going to be up for this, but he has been I like what they're doing with Kyle Fletcher. I like what he's done so far. I really enjoy. There are shades, I think, of like the annoying of like Owen Hart in them. I really enjoyed as far as a character. I really enjoyed what he's done so far, and I like where that's headed.
Also, MJF and Don Callis have like an alliance or something that I heard. Not looking. You put the two worst people you know in a room at the same time. That's not something I'm looking forward to. But yeah, like I said, I have not been watching AEW television. I've been following it, but not watching it. And there are some positives there that they could build upon. I just don't think Full Gear looks that great. It doesn't look that great to me, but just I don't know. It doesn't look that great. But I mean, All In was I think their peak, and it's like their WrestleMania. So there is sort of a wind down as it is with WWE between April and like June or July. So they could ramp up with World's End, or starting in Winter is Coming or whichever show that they're doing, leading into what is it, Grand Slam Australia. I feel like that's going to be like their not their, I guess not their SummerSlam. Well, if all in is their WrestleMania, then I guess Grand Slam Australia is going to be like a SummerSlam or like a Bash at Berlin type of pay per view for them or show for them. So yeah, I think the momentum will return. I think they're going to lead to very, very big matches, or bigger matches than they're doing right now. But just right now, Full Gear is not moving me, and it's weird because I typically like AEW pay per views in their lineup, but I'm not moved that much by this. I do look forward to the Mercedes and Statlander matches you mentioned, but not really looking forward to too much else because I don't want to see Swerve take the L, and I just felt like it's a little too soon for them to do this. I think it's a match you kind of save for a couple months down the line and continue to build to it and kind of hint at it as opposed to just going right at Prince Nana and then going after Swerve. I didn't think it was the right idea. But hey, that's what they do over there.
Speaking of takeover storylines that have gone on way too fucking long, but I will say I was fucking. That popped me the other night when Bronson Reed was revealed. There are things that I rant and rave on here ad nauseum about them dragging their feet to pull the trigger on some people. Fucking Montez Ford, god damn it. Another year down. But this Bronson Reed push has been goddamn awesome. I was so fucking pumped that they're putting him in this position to be in this match, rubbing elbows with the Bloodline. He got a bunch of TV time with him the other night. I've always thought that dude was super fucking talented. And I've also, mentioned that when I was a kid, when wrestling was, as fucking big as it had ever been, until, later, until the Attitude Era, you used to see every different type of fucking body type on professional wrestling. Like you used to see, you had big old fucking fat dudes, you had smaller dudes, you had all the body guys, like you had, and like that body type had really kind of like, we went years and years and years without like, you would have one thicker guy or kind of chubby guy on there. AEW still fucking lacks guys like that on their show. There's a lot of different body types. There's
yeah,
mostly one body type, and it's not. Yeah. So I'm just super pumped that a guy like Bronson Reed is getting pushed, getting utilized. Is being
fits
made
well.
A big deal.
He fits well.
He does. He fit really well in the fucking segments the other night when they were running around, running roughshod. So
I think personally, I don't think he's like a part of the official new bloodline, obviously, because it's just a Survivor
no. I think
thing.
he's just jumping in to make it. That's what we keep saying. Like I want this fucking spotlight, and I'm gonna take it. So he's gonna join up with them, and
I would love to explore that beyond Survivor Series a little bit, like an extended alliance, because I feel like it's such a great fit. Him and Jacob Fatu together, that is fucking insane. So I would love to see that. The only thing I don't like about this him being included is that they're gonna make Seth the fifth guy with the OG bloodline. I'm not really feeling that idea personally, but I just was hoping Seth stays far away from it. But I mean, I guess all of Roman's former allies or former brothers, if you will, are saving his ass, which is whatever. But Bronson Reed has been, man. Look, I was not a big fan of his before, and you know him and that little Braun Strowman feud and those segments.
Yeah, that fucking
That
rocked.
that brought me in, and that made me a complete fan of what he does, and he's been killing it. He's been killing it, and I got to give him his props. And once again, him and Jacob Fatu together. I didn't, you don't know, like sometimes you don't know you need to see something
Yeah,
until you see it.
It'd be a
And
hell
then
of
I
a fucking
saw
tag
that
team. Yeah.
and I was like, hey man, put them together for a couple months, man. Get them boys the belts and let them, take out Motor City Machine Guns. Like, I don't know. I just think it's definitely a good fit. And I typically was okay with the 4-on-4 war games idea. At first, I was typically okay with that, but Bronson going to the top of the cage and jumping off on somebody, I kind of need that now. I kind of need that now for war games.
Yeah, I
Kinda
was
need
saying
that.
the other day they need to do, and WWE will make this happen because they're all about the. I don't want to be disrespectful, but kind of like they don't shy away from Hollywood special effects now. Like, definitely not.
Yeah.
They need to figure out a way to do a Taz Bam Bam Bigelow ECW Buffalo fucking spot.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
where they went through the fucking mat. Like,
Yep.
that
Went
needs
to
to
the damn
happen.
ring.
We need to have Bronson Reed coming off the fucking cage and they go through the mat, like, somehow. And
Yeah.
it feels like it would be easier to do because you have two rings to work with, so you could have
Yep.
the spot that everybody's supposed to stay away from, and you could it wouldn't be obvious throughout the night because you just have everybody work the matches in the other ring.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's I feel like that's a must. And yeah, it was a shocker, man. I expected the fifth guy to come out and be debut Hikuleo, because they've signed him, but yeah, no, Bronson Reed, that was fucking fantastic.
I actually think Kikaleo might be the X factor at Survivor Series, and I think he might pop up out of nowhere. And I think there's something to what you're saying too about the ring thing. I don't know if they're going to actually do it, like them going through the ring, but I think there's somewhere where Bronson Reed is going to do something crazy and slightly take himself out the match, and it's going to look like Solo is like pretty much down on his luck, or he's about to get his comeuppance, and then Hikuleo could show up and pop out of nowhere, or he might come through the ring. Like you could do a Bronson Reed, goes through the ring, and then that's over with, and then Hikuleo comes through the ring. Like there's something. I think there's something there. I think there's going to be another added element to this, and then there's also the wise man, not his phone being disconnected or something like that, and he hasn't reached Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns kind of left him out to dry, and he got beat up, and then my thought was that the fifth member was going to end up being CM Punk, because when the wise man, before he got beat up, he kind of was like, hey, I need you. And also before, I think you remember when where Heyman, I think there was a segment where Heyman was like, Roman said to spare Punk or not to harm him, or was okay with him
Yeah,
not being harmed
yeah.
or something. So like there was a trail there, and I thought that's where they were going, but judging by certain things I've read, it seems like it's just going to be a Seth thing, and Punk doesn't seem like he's going to be at Survivor Series at all, which is I thought.
I think he's going to turn up. I think he'll turn up in a surprise situation or something you don't
Oh no, I mean,
expect.
I guess he's not gonna have a match. He's not gonna wrestle at Survivor Series, which I think is a bit disappointing, because I was fully prepared for Gunther and Punk to finally have their match, and it's been a talk of the last few months, and it seemed like that's where it was leading. And he defeated Drew and won the feud. So I'm assuming, if anything, they're saving it for the Saturday night main event thing that's going on. I'm assuming that's
Yeah,
where they're
maybe. Yeah.
so and Damian Priest is going to get another shot before moving on to what he's going to do next. But yeah, it doesn't seem like Punk is going to be on the card. But I was hoping for Punk to be the fifth guy just because it would have been such a random thing that, but it also would tie the Wise Man back in, and it would also tie Heyman.
Yeah. I mean, because you have that connection, like, Heyman called in a favor type of deal.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe they'll pivot to that. Because we still got 2 weeks, like 2 weeks till Survivor Series. So
yeah,
or
it could be a night of thing. It's the same thing as last year. We all thought something was happening, and then we got swerved, and out comes Punk. Maybe they recreate the moment, but he's in the match this time.
He takes that Randy Orton role that Randy had, where they didn't know if when Randy didn't show up, and then it shows up. So I mean, I think we'll see Paul Heyman in the next week or two anyway. So I think that'll tie into it, and maybe Seth really won't. Maybe Seth really will be like, you know what? I said I didn't want to team with him anymore, so I'm not going to do it. But the theme of this team is I don't want to be here, but I'm here because we're family. That's what it is. And through it all, the bullshit you did, I don't necessarily like that part because Roman has not had to repent for any of his sins yet. He just said yeet.
So the
and threw up a one.
Oh well, yeah, true that. Just the discourse I saw about the Roman and Seth was a little bit. Some of y'all are kind of dense. I'm just going to say that.
I have not seen much wrestling discourse recently. I'm proud of that.
The catharsis was Seth was the one that turned on Roman in the first place, not the other way around. So Roman hitting him with the choosing to finally get his lick back, get his revenge on Seth in the middle of the match. That was the fucking story. That was the point. Is Roman was so possessed by getting that one shot back that he allowed himself to become distracted and lost the match. So then he did that. He got his catharsis. He got his revenge on Rollins. And then you move to a new stage of the story. And that's why, it's kind of like, okay, we're even now. Like, you're a piece of shit, but I was a piece of shit back then. Here we are, type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why everybody was, had their fucking brains melted by that the other night. I
mean, wrestling fans. But it seems like I said, it seems like they're gonna pull the thing with Seth, but also it could lead to Seth getting taken out that night, and Seth can't compete or something like that, and they're down and they need somebody to show up, and the Wise Man could be there and be like, I'm gonna make a call, and then he leaves, and then Punk shows up at the end. They could do something with that, and I think the crowd would love that shit. I think the crowd would absolutely love that. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, War Games, I'm kind of done with the War Games concept. It doesn't really move me like it used to, because when Fall Brawl used to exist, and War Games was like the end all be all for that. I guess I used to get so excited because the stories used to be gripping and actually be like really really grab me. But the Bloodline's been in the War Games matches for how many years? So it's kind of like, all right, we're getting there. I'm also considering that Red 1 is out right now, and it is not doing well. So there could be a final boss.
The real shit's about to start. Yeah.
We getting closer and closer to Vegas, and Roman Reigns is probably as hot as he's ever been as a babyface. And the final boss showed up I will say, it does annoy me that he shows up, lets his presence be known, and then he just no mention of him at all on television. Not even hinting at what could be coming. Where's the final boss?
Or hey, what the fuck was that about? Yeah.
Like there's no follow up to that. So it almost feels like he just Rock was just like, hey, I'm in town. I'm in Atlanta. I'm gonna just come through and show up just to get a nice pop and walk away, cut a promo on Instagram, and then I'll see you guys in 3 months. That's what it feels like. So I don't know. We'll see. But I feel like The Rock showing up at Survivor Series would be great. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be it add to the story. But I think if The Rock was to show up, I actually think the way to do it would have the new Bloodline win War Games, and then Rock shows up at the end to show he was like the hand. He's like the invisible hand.
Yeah.
So like his plan, everything's going according to his plan. Because Roman has to experience more peril. Like Roman has to experience more peril because it's just the same thing every week, right? Like show up, boom, Superman punch, ooh spear, and then oh no, Samoan Spike, or him and Jay and Jimmy and all those guys do that. So I think they need to struggle some more because you have to legitimize this new bloodline more and more. And I need to see more Jacob Fatu, man. That dude is a beast.
Yeah.
I need to see more Jacob Fatu. So I will give Solo his credit. Solo's coming into his own a little bit.
Yeah, he's been doing better on the promos, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it's just, and him getting the win over Roman at the Saudi show I was surprised, especially how clean how clean of a win that was. I was like, but it's like it's just insignificant, right? It just feels insignificant because you almost forget that happened, basically. You almost forget that Solo got the pin. And shout out to Roman for being outside of putting over Cody, the only two people he's put over in the last 5 years are his fucking family. I respect the hell out of that. You said I'm not putting over anybody else except your most over guy and my family, and I kind of respect that form of politicking because there's so many other wrestlers who could have been put over that would have been great too. But I respect that. But I will say the Sami Zayn element makes it interesting. Somebody pointed out something. Wrestling fans in this bloodline storyline, they're very intuitive now, and intuitive for sometimes the wrong reason. So there was a moment where Sami Zayn took out his phone and threw it on the couch that Roman ends up sitting on at the end of SmackDown. So people are saying maybe Sammy's phone was the phone that Roman grabbed and made the phone call to the wise man, which would explain. But that would just be, I mean, you don't know your own phone, Roman? Like, you don't know. I mean, you got the same phone. Like, I just feel like it would just make, he would have to be very stupid because I don't know. But I guess I don't know how it works with phones like that anymore. So maybe you can just pick up a phone and say, hey, Siri, call wise man. And you don't have to unlock your phone and know that it's your actual phone. So, I don't know.
Real quick before we get out of here, big shout. We got to shout out Motor City Machine Guns, man, showing up. A lot of people really made a big show about going on and on and on about how it was the worst thing in the world that they were going to go to NXT. Well, guess what? That's not quite what happened. But then also the same people working. They're not even the main storyline. There's nothing. This has never happened before. WWE has never, other than Hulk Hogan, coming from AWA and taking the belt off of Iron Sheik in just a few weeks. Like it's never, nothing like this has ever happened. Where people unknown to the WWE audience, people who worked in other promotions, especially like in this era from like an indie perspective, show up and bam, 100%. Go over, win the belts, already on it, mega push. Shout out to the Motor City Machine Guns, man. A phenomenal addition. They put on a damn good match with the Street Profits the other night for the tag belts. Already lighting up that division, making it so much better. It's hard because I love the way the new belts look. They look so damn good. Mm-hmm. But this tag division would be so good if they reunified the belts. Like I would love to see Finn Balor and Devlin against the MCMG. Like that would be a fantastic match, I think. But in general, man, shout out to them. Well deserved. They've been awesome additions so far.
Absolutely. I didn't expect them to win the title so fast. So, I thought they would come in, have a couple, at least a couple months and then build to that. But them coming in and winning the tag team titles is amazing. And it's been a surprise to me, but I also think, and I want to say this, Triple H, I see what you're about to do involving this tag team situation. I really don't want I really don't want to see this Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa thing turn how I think it's going to turn. It feels like they're heading towards either a heel turn for DIY or a breakup and a heel turn for like, I'm assuming the plan is DIY turns heel because Johnny Gargano turns on his idols, Motor City Machine Guns, and that could be what your Survivor Series tag titles match is. I don't know, but I think Motor City Machine Guns, they are doing a great job. They are, they're as advertised, right? They're one of the most influential teams in the entirety of wrestling. So, especially for this era of professional wrestling, they're one of the most influential and important teams. So, I'm excited to see how well they do as time goes on. I'll put it like that. As time goes on, I'm anxious to see. They've become ingrained in the WWE lexicon now, and they are the team to beat right now. And a little curious about what happens with the Street Profits because they've been hinting at a breakup too. I mean, there's a lot of breakups being hinted at right now on WWE television, from Street Profits to New Day to a lot of different teams are being hinted at possibly breaking up.
Yeah.
And I'm confused, very confused. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We are all about, people who have been underneath finally getting all the things that they deserve, yes. Including us. So you check out all the things that we got going on. The Medium site is blowing up. We had, again, setting records every single month. The biggest month once again by a wide margin, doing incredible things.
Crazy.
Speaking of things that need to be hitting records, True, your album finally came out. The new one just this past week. It's fantastic. Been checking it out.
Yeah. Been getting some great feedback on SR6. Numbers wise, it is so far in the first week is my most streamed album in probably like 2.5, 3 years, based on how my numbers look in the first week, based on my memory. Definitely my most streamed in about 2.5 years. So you kind of finally get away from certain companies and entities on the musical side, and then you start doing numbers again. It's funny how that works. So things are only going to keep looking up and getting better. Like I said, I appreciate all the love for the album and all 3 projects that we put out in the last few months. So yeah, man, SR6 is out now. If you are listening to this, stop what you're doing and go listen to that for sure.
Right after you wrap this up, go throw that album on. As you can see, back with some wrestling, some combat. We got earlier on this week, NBA Hoops Hour. Will be another one out pretty damn soon after you listen to this. The college football show. Oh, the college football show is going to be good times this week. Good times this week. It must be the money. And of course, the NFL show will be out very soon after you listen to this as well. We're recording this right in the beginnings of a beautiful NFL Sunday. So,
yes, sir.
Be ready to check all those things out. Hit up the Medium site. A lot of the people you see contributing and writing are also on the pods, breaking those things down in an audio, an audio format. Most of our shows, man, we will get you right in 35 to 45 minutes. Easy to fit into your schedule. Get the stuff early, and you will be informed in an entertaining manner in 35 to 45 minutes, because we don't waste your time. We value your time. And we value as listeners. As you can see, print, every sport known to man, other types of media, music, the world of DAR never stops.
All right. Woo. This is light work. Come on, spill the tea, yeah.
I'll tell you something. Do you know about it? Yeah, just so do you know